3 years ago, I sat down in front of the camera and I told the whole world that I was struggling. I felt like I had left pieces of me in Iraq and Syria and Ukraine, and I just didn't return the same person. My family would tell me all the time, like, you've changed, and sometimes for the better, sometimes for the worse. And I felt like after that first trip to Ukraine, the courage that I had died with the friends that I lost. They want to hear about you go into combat, maybe your friend gets hit or whatever, but you guys push on, you have courage, you're not fearful, you complete the mission, you come back all together. Those are the kind of war stories people want, but that's not the reality of war. But I'm here to tell you that I did return to Ukraine after that, and I didn't go there to chase violence. I went there to face a ghost. A little over a year ago, I went back to Ukraine for the fourth time, and the same enemy was still there in my head, which was doubt. I had doubt that I could perform on the battlefield. I just lost a couple friends about 2 months prior to that, 3 of them in one day, and I really felt in my heart that I needed to return to the front line. And I didn't know what was calling me. I didn't know if it was revenge. I didn't know if it was, I was trying to prove something to myself, but I was just not in a healthy mindset. I was really struggling the first 2 years of the Ukrainian war. Really struggling in my head. I think part of it, I needed to know if I still had it, like if I still got that dog in me, you know what I mean? And I'm here to tell you I did. I went to the front line with Veron CSG, did my first full rotation with a Mavic team. Did my job, didn't panic. Was a pretty spicy one in my opinion, in my experience, but I didn't lose my cool. I did my job and felt really, really good. And I'll tell you that the best feeling I ever had in my life, still to this day, and I think back at it, and I'm not sure exactly why, was the day that I left that position. I just done my 5-6 day rotation, left, and 3 hours afterwards I was in Kharkiv. On that ride back from a rotation, we had survived. We had survived Exfil, luckily, and Artem was speaking to me, and he was telling me, great job. That felt great. It felt really, really good. And then we got to the city, got to Kharkiv, and 3 hours after that exfil, I'm sitting there on a bench, eating some food, some coffee, and a little sandwich, and I have never felt that good in my life. And I think back at that day with a lot of fondness. That was seriously the best day of my life. Walking out from that hotel, going to get that sandwich, I felt like there was just absolute peace. Absolute peace. I don't know. It was like I didn't have anything to prove. Not to other people, but to myself. I felt like I did it. I proved to myself that I can contribute. I got revenge. Really felt like I got revenge. I felt like I made an impact in the war. I have courage in the face of danger. I felt like I confronted all these demons that were haunting me from my first operation in Ukraine. It was still holding me back. Even despite, that was the first operation in Ukraine. It was like week 1 of being there. Did it. And I did all right on that mission. Nothing went too bad. But I was a little haunted about like how scared I was during that. I was so scared, but not anymore. I overcame it. But since that trip, I've lost still quite a few friends I felt. People I care about. But there's never a point where I felt like I could have done more. You know what I mean? In a lot of those instances, I felt like I needed to do more. I needed to go and show the courage that those guys showed to the very end. There's a little bit of that involved.
One of the things that I found the most beneficial was talking to some of the other men that were there, because they would give you a really interesting perspective. Like my character that I was playing, there are a lot of things that he regrets not doing necessarily.
But I honestly feel, as much as you can, at peace with what I did there so far. I'm gonna be going there pretty soon. But I wanna talk about how I was dealing with PTSD in the past, and then how I fixed it. And I want to kind of delve into that and maybe help anybody who's also struggling maybe. The first thing that let me overcome the PTSD I had in the past was joining a good unit. Veron CSG changed my life. This unit is incredible. Everybody there is still incredible, great friends of mine, and I don't know, I just love them to death. They supported me through everything. I did a couple rotations to the front, they're still going. I did like barely anything. But the times that I was in the front line, they were incredibly gracious to me, helping me learn how to fly these drones, helping me ready the bombs and then bomb my first targets. They let me do everything that I felt like I needed to do. And then afterwards, I go to the FPV cell and I start working on FPVs. Incredibly patient. I wanted to start FPVs with Alex because I didn't want to do any more rotations to the front. I felt like it's just not my place right now. I just felt like it wasn't my place. I felt like there was other people that could do that job better. And I started doing FPVs and we got the FPV cell. And there wasn't one instance in the 6-month process of making this FPV team that they were rushing me or they were impatient or saying, oh my God, you guys are doing nothing. We were in the rear, drinking chai, freaking working FPVs. We had the life. It was so easy compared to what they were doing. But they never rubbed that in our face. They loved what we did. They would come back from rotation and instantly say, great work, great work with the house, great work with FPVs. Those guys are just really incredible. And all of you guys were supporting me during the FPV thing. Like, I felt like my channel had my back as well. I didn't feel like it was, oh, I'm doing something other than combat. They don't really care anymore. You guys had my back. It was Caitlin, Trayton, so much AAA, so many different names that were donating and constantly reaching out to me to make sure that our FPV cell was going to get up and running as soon as possible. It was, yeah, the community was great. That was a big one for overcoming the trauma that I had in the past. So if you remember that video that I made 3 years ago talking about my struggle with PTSD, a lot of it was tied to my lack of courage. I felt like there was one mission that was haunting me. It was the first mission it just haunted me. And it was just a couple months ago that I was able to rewatch that. I have a hard time rewatching it. I ended up rewatching it, and I felt completely at peace because having felt like I had done the job correctly and I had an impact on the battlefield. I got revenge for my friends. I was able to look back, and I knew that was 3 years ago, Corey. Corey now is somebody completely different. I'm different. I'm not the same person I was back then. I am a combat veteran who's done multiple different things. And to be able to rewatch that and know I was kind of a kid back then. So rewatching it, I didn't feel like I needed to change anything. I didn't feel like I could have done better. It felt like, yeah, that's exactly what I would have done 3 years ago. And even today, I don't think that there's much I would take back from that mission. Obviously I'd be more prepared. I know what things sound like. I know how the, Ukraine operates on the front line. But other than that, I felt like I did okay. And I just could not have done that had I not came back to Ukraine multiple times. So what this has taught me is that when we make mistakes, when we fall down, we only go through life one time. All right, let me make this clear. The Jocko Willinks, the David Goggins, whoever you look up to, combat veterans. For me, I look up to a lot of my friends. Now that I'm a little bit older, I know that I'm 28 years old. In 28 years, I'll probably be a grandpa or something. Like, we only go through life once. The majority of you, including myself, are only 10 years separated from being a child still growing up. We're 10 years into being an adult, and we're gonna make mistakes. We're not gonna do things perfectly. But the big thing is to keep trying. Like, you just gotta keep going. I've said this before, but it's been a big realization this last 2 months. In 100 years, babies, your friends, everybody's going to return to dust. Like, in 100 years, everybody on the planet is going to return to dust, and there's gonna be a new population, a new generation. We only go through this life thing once, and you're gonna make mistakes, and that was a big thing that helped me. And it's up to you for how you want to deal with it. You can kind of run away from that situation and take a different path in life, or you can continue down that path that you made mistakes on and make yourself better. That can also help people. It can help yourself as well. I think for myself, as well as probably all of you guys, losing friends doesn't get easier. Look at me. I am super lucky. I'm in a quiet country, nice and safe. I'm hanging out with my girl all the time. I'm flying FPVs and living life, just editing videos. It's super chill. But I was doing that same thing a year and a half ago, and when I would lose friends, it just struck differently. So again, going to the front again, proving to myself, reminding myself that I grew up. And I could do better, and I did do better. Like, it helped tremendously. And I don't know what's this saying about me, but it really, really helped. And what also helped is not trying to live up to some abstract Superman. I'm not Ukraine's hero. I'm not the hero of the world. I'm not like, yo, Mr. Combat Veteran, whoa, I've done so much. I'm just a dude. And that's okay. I'm glad about that. I've got nothing to prove. I did my time. I feel like I did okay. And I'll continue to do that. When I feel ready to go back to Ukraine, I'll do it. I'll do my best, and that's enough. It's enough. Now, since I'm talking about this, I do want to say what I fear for some of the veterans that I know out there, the people, the foreigners that are going to be going back and returning to their lives in a couple years or soon. And they're going to have to get a normal job. You're going to have to start a family, get a 401k. They're going to have to do all that in the mix of all the stuff that's happening with Ukraine right now, the public's view of Ukraine. It seems like the majority of the U.S. just doesn't care about Ukraine anymore. They actually look down on us because of the corruption. They're looking at it like all this weird shit. Like, they just changed like a dime. And I fear for those people coming back. A lot of them are Afghanistan veterans that went to Ukraine so they could know that they were on the right side. They were on the right side, they did the job, and it's a very clear-cut enemy that everybody agrees is the enemy. But I fear now with the public's view on Ukraine that they're going to return home, and it's going to be more like Vietnam veterans returning home. Being spit on, being people looking down on them in shame. I'm scared of that for those people. For myself, I'm used to it. I went to Syria and Iraq and Ukraine, and all of them are different groups. Syria and Iraq was anarchist, communist. There's people fighting ISIS, going against NATO. Like, I know what I'm standing for. I've got my own reasons. People disagree. I probably have no Turkish fans. If you guys are fans, thank you, appreciate it. I just don't really like the government. You guys know that, you know, like, like I made a lot of enemies, but I know what I fought for and I know what I believe in. But for those people that had returned from Afghanistan, they saw the withdrawal, they saw how we just kind of let our allies down. Then they go to Ukraine, and the same thing happens. It's gonna be rough. So I fear for them, and I think that's a lot of the reason that a lot of the veterans are staying in Ukraine. I know so many of my friends that have never left since they went to Ukraine at the start of the war. Maybe they left for like a little bit. They've done so much more time, not only the front line, but in Ukraine than I have. I know I've spent about 2 years in there, but there's people who've stayed there the entire time. People who were in Ukraine before the war started were serving in the Marine Corps, were serving in the army, the Ukrainian army. And then the war starts and they continue to work. And after getting wounded, after losing limbs, constantly in danger, fearing their life, knowing that they could just drop everything and go home right away. But they don't. And I think a lot of the reason is they're a little scared about how they're going to be living life back home. They know that things are going to be different. They know that the public is just never going to understand them, what they fought for, what Ukraine is really like. I mean, there's a lot of people high up in the US government right now that have never been to Ukraine, that have a lot of opinions about it, and it's changing the public's perception. It's people are scared of that. People are scared of that. I don't blame them. So the transition process for veterans, as you guys know from my channel, is notoriously horrific. It's bad. So many veterans, yeah, you guys know the stories. It's bad, and I just worry for them. But that again, that's a big reason that those guys stay out there. They feel at peace there. They feel like they can do their work, and like they honestly are just completely normal dudes. You'll get dinner with them, and you didn't know that a week ago they were just in the worst trench combat that you could ever imagine. They love it. They live their lives, and it's a job for them, and they know what they're fighting for, and that's enough. That's enough. So I really look up to those guys. I really do. I'm my own person. I'm gonna do what I feel is best for my life, and I'll contribute when I can, and I don't need to be that person to feel okay about myself. I know that I did the best I could, and I'll continue to do that, just in a different way. So yeah, PTSD is pretty much gone for me. I get nightmares every once in a while. I get freaked out when I hear balloons popping in and fireworks sometimes, but other than that, been pretty smooth sailing. I would say the only thing that kind of bothers me is that if I'm in Ukraine, I'm not in Iraq. If I'm in Iraq, I'm not in Syria. If I'm in Syria, I'm not in Taiwan. I can only pick one at a time. I'm only one dude. I can't go everywhere at once. And I've got a lot of people that I still care about in those countries. So when I say yes to Ukraine, I say no to all these other places. And that haunts me a bit. That makes me pretty sad, but there's not much I can do about that, is there? You know, like, I can only do one thing at a time. And, you know, that's just part of growing up and maturing and just knowing, you know, I'm going to do the best I can. Put in the time where I need to do it. Right now, I feel like I need to focus on my channel and focus on kind of living life and learning how to transition out of veteran life and then transition back into Ukraine life. I'll be doing that here pretty shortly. And yeah, I'll just take it at my own speed and I'm okay with it. So yeah, that's pretty much that, guys. Like really, I'm doing pretty good. I just want to let you guys know that you don't need to worry about me. In a week, I could be having a really hard time remembering certain things, but I know that I can bounce back. I know I can. I've done it before, and yeah, I'm feeling a lot better off this time. I really am. Anyway, that's everything I want to say. And yeah, I really appreciate all the support throughout the years. Doing the best I can. We'll continue to do so. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.